We're excited to do this, and I'll pass the torch to you, Rick.
You're a gentleman, sir.
All right.
I reckon we'll get after it here. What do you imagine?
Okay. I apologize for the Ricket here, because you're certainly Rick Rocket.
I actually think that's pretty funny. I kind of like it better. Rick Ricketts. That sounds pretty cool, man. Isn't Ricketts an old disease where you like couldn't walk or something? I'm trying to remember what it was. That's an old one.
Vitamin D deficiency. So we don't want to do that. We're talking about wellness, and
that's right. So ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, I do not have rickets.
You got quite the opposite. But hey, we're
awesome.
excited to have everybody on the call, and we're going to talk about a system that is already proven many times, and it will work one more time for you too. So, hey, Rick, tell us about the business plan.
Well, I'm excited to do that, and I'm going to be short and sweet to the point tonight. It's great to have you with us, Dave. Thanks for letting us use your shiny toy here. It's great to have everybody with us tonight. Some people are asking, we're going to run early bird for San Antonio through the end of May. So I haven't done a 5-block check the last couple of days. We were over 800 tickets last week, which is pretty doggone cool. In fact, I think I told you this, Dave, NECAN Latin America, just Colombia alone, bought 80 and booked 40 double rooms last Thursday. If you have not got hotels, make sure you get them, because they are really filling up downtown. I think the Marriotts are completely blown out 10 days in. So get those things. And one of the reasons I want to talk about that is everything in this business runs in cycles. And right now, the next cycles from now running up to San Antonio, we have a block of work. And then you flip it from there, and we run back to Logan, Orlando. We start the next run. So if you measure your business in those flips and you keep going like that, you're always going to have momentum. And if you hit the next target in front of you, you're going to continue to grow and progress in your business. The challenges in this business is a lot of us, it's hard sometimes to visualize how to progress forward. It's hard to visualize sometimes, how do I ever make actual progress in the business? Also, as far as uplines, how do I help my group get going? How do I know what I'm doing? Where should I be working? So tonight, what I want to do is, as I share my screen, but as you all know, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not just sharing my screen, I'm sharing my heart. The important thing to know is, where do you spend that time? Now, a couple things I wanted to say about this, and this is really important. When I worked in corporate or in the military, and I know a lot of you guys have careers too, one of the interesting things about the self-employment world, when I worked at Steelcase, for example, or Chrysler, Perot Systems, when I worked for Volkswagen, when I worked for Complete Business Solutions, all of those places I was measured on what I did. When I was running a campaign coordinator for a Senate race, it's how many calls did you make? How many hands did you shake? How many ads did we run? How many votes did we get in the precinct? When we were doing sales reports for Steelcase, it's how many units did you sell? How many customers did you get? All of you guys that have traditional jobs, you're judged on what you did. One of the interesting things about the home business world, and it's because we're self-employed, is there's a tremendous amount of discussion on how do you feel and what would you like to do, and are you brave enough yet to tackle this? And if you owned a Subway, for example, and you didn't sell sandwiches for 3 weeks, you'd be out of business. In this business, you don't sell sandwiches for 3 weeks, and you still end up on calls trying to decide why you're not selling sandwiches. And I think part of it's the immediate impact of not doing something in a regular career or a traditional business forces us to get good and get right after it. In this business, you can sit in NECAN forever and never actually do anything other than get on 7 million calls and constantly be reading about what you could do. And one of the things I want to focus you guys on is, if you want to successfully be self-employed or make money or be in business, you have to be focused on what it is that gets the thing done. And there's 2 things it is, not just for me as an upline to be able to keep my team pointed, but you as a business professional to say, how many sandwiches am I selling? What am I actually accomplishing? It's very easy to not keep the main thing the main thing. In fact, this is the only industry that I know of where you can spend thousands of dollars on stuff that doesn't directly sell a sandwich. And I really want you, it'd be like if you go to a bowling alley and there's pins at the end of the alley. At the end of the day, if you hit 1 pin, you get a point. If you hit 10, you get a strike. If you stand there and look at the ball and say, who am I going to be if I bowl? And why do I want to bowl? And do I enjoy bowling? And do I even want to be here? And am I afraid to put my fingers in the hole? As a child, was I afraid of spiders because there were spiders in the hole? And today I had a breakthrough. I realized that I'm afraid to pick the ball up because there could be a bug on it. And all that stuff clouds the thing, when at the end of the day, if you want to get a point, you hit a pin. In soccer, if you want to score a goal, you put it in the net. In basketball, you put it in the hoop. In football, you put it over the goal line. In business, you sell a sandwich, you sell a car, you sell a computer system. There's a measurable thing that is the thing. And if you have a job and you're not producing, or a business, as I said, you're in jeopardy of losing that position. And in the home business, because there's no immediacy to that, you can spend years, chasing your rear end in a circle, wondering all that stuff. And I want to say something to everybody on this call, that one of the great things to learn about being self-employed, if you really want to cut to the chase, and this is what it is, if you want to really know the secret to success, it's not you get courage and then you do things. It's you do things and then you get courage. You don't feel good and then you go do things. You do things and then you feel good. Okay? You always are going to come to the point when, no matter how much you study, no matter how much you think, no matter how much you discuss it, at the end of the day, you got to bake the cake. And one of the things that I really want to do in NECAN, and one of the main points of emphasis over the next year, 6 months or whatever, is really big time pointing people so that the main thing is the main thing, so that the guns are pointed down range, the lead's flying in the direction of the enemy, so to speak, so that we're actually getting a measurable, actionable result. I've talked to Kurt about this before. And sometimes he'll say, NECAN people do, and probably self-employed people in general in the home business world, do a million things that go this way. And often it's the one thing you do going that direction direct that will get you where you want to go. What this Teach 3 sheet does, if you really understand what it is, this is a guide to get you focused going down range, so that you know exactly what you're trying to accomplish. It gives you something, and we've been all through this before, that you can do a measurable result. It's actionable for yourself. You know exactly where to be focusing. But it also gives the power to work with your team and give you the power to focus and harness your team. One of the things about this sheet, every single activity on this entire sheet is a direct profit. It's a direct march towards the compensation plan. It's a direct march towards your retirement. It's a direct march towards your residual income. It's a direct march towards qualifying. It's a direct march towards a residual check, everything. And I think you'll find in business that the closer you can keep it to the direct action, the more likely you are to get the result. And the second thing you're going to get is you're going to get a better duplicable result. And like Gary Leonard just texted, it's linear thinking and planning. Gary, when talking about cows, at the end of the day, it's not how many cows you talk about, it's how many cows actually get pregnant that produces the result. You got to have a measurable. This is our measurables. So I want to encourage a lot of you guys to really think about this for a minute and ask yourself a question. Is it easy, I don't want to use the word to hide, but to put things in front that you're constantly working on self? And I'm not saying that's not a good thing to do. But what I'm trying to tell you is, I think you'll find that at the end of the day, it's kind of like walking around a swimming pool. No matter how much you look at it, that water is going to be cold when you jump in. I can tell you it's going to be cold. I can say it's going to be cold. But till you jump in, you never get used to the water. And I'm one of those guys that doesn't like jumping into cold water. I'll walk around it. I'll tiptoe into it. At the end of the day, you just got to jump in the water. If you want to get good at prospecting, start talking to people. I've actually told people before that are struggling with prospecting, go up to people and say, listen, I'm new at this business, or, I'm not real great at messaging, but I've got a really great company here. Would you mind taking a look and tell me what you think about what I'm saying? You can be that direct with people. You can say, you know what? I don't know how to approach you because I'm new, or I'm just not doing it. I'm really struggling with how to talk to people about this. Can I show you what we have, and you give me the opinion of how you see this and how you understand it? If you really want this, be that direct, okay? Talk to 5 people, and you're going to learn more about prospecting than talking about why you should talk to 5 people, okay? Talking to 5 people is going to get you closer to Royal Diamond than taking 7,000 hours of discussion on why you should build this business. Okay? At the end of the day, it's the miles that you drive straight towards the target that are going to yield you a result, that are going to put the money in your pocket that's going to change your life. Okay? So all that other stuff that surrounds the industry, that's cool with it if you're getting something out of it. But ask yourself a question: are you executing linearly? And that's what this is going to do. So if you take a look at this with the mentoring form, what we're going to do with our teams, and I know a lot of them are listening in tonight, what we really want to do from here on out is have a very focused mentoring capability. My take is the people that are working in NECAN, it's like a pro football player. You know, the difference between being in college and in the pros are expected to come to camp in shape. If they're not, they're cut. That's just what it is. They've got to decide they want to play for the Chicago Bears or the Dallas Cowboys. The people that I'm working with in the business, I expect them to come and bring their A game. So I'm talking to all of you guys on this call like pros. Your job is to come with your A game. My job is to help you develop your A game. So as a mentor, if I've got newer people, I may not outwardly say that, but the closer I stick to this model, the closer the discussion is going to stick towards that A game model. Again, as I told you, it's really easy to go laterally in this business and talk about everything except for the action that produces the result. So what we're going to do with our team is 3 very simple things. And you understand this form that we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. The first goal in the business is get yourself in the red zone, that 5 to 1,500 points. The second goal is duplicate it 3 times. The third goal is to duplicate that 3 times. And that will yield you a residual check from $500 to $2,500 a month, plus or minus, depending on where you lie. And I'm not going to rehash all over that stuff. What I want to do with our teams is real simple. I want to basically start down, and you can download this now. It's on pathfinders.biz, but you can see how the mentoring is laying out. And if you take a look at it, it's extremely simple. I'm going to ask our team, how is your hot zone progress? Is it complete or incomplete? It's a black and white question. You're either in the red zone or you're not in the red zone. And the other thing is, what's your strategy to fill them, to get it set up and to get it put in there so that you're filling in the red zone and you're filling out those orders. So I want to have the discussion. Have you hit it, or is it in progress? And what's your plan to get that hit? If I'm talking about the result and I'm talking about the plan to get the result as a mentor, I'm focused on getting something to help my team directly achieve. The team is focused on the thing that's going to help them directly achieve. And together we're working linearly, which is working directly towards the compensation plan. The second question is, how many of you filled on your Teach 3 frontline? 1, 2, or 3 or more? So it's real simple. If I'm working with a team, have you hit your red zone? It's complete. How many of you filled in your Teach 3 frontline? Well, I've got 2 of the 3. Okay, you got 1 more to get. What's your strategy to fill it? Real simple. The third question is going to be, how many have you filled on your R3 levels, your Reach 3 levels? You can see there's 1 through 9 there or more. And then it's real simple. What's our strategy to fill them? If you notice, it's simple. It's repetitive. It's just a couple of very, very simple steps. There's no fat in it. There's no left, right, or center. There's no, wiggling off course. What this is going to do, it's going to allow you, like, think about if you were in a boat and you've got 50 people rowing the boat. Think what would happen if all 50 of those people rowed in the same direction. Or think what would happen if it was just you and one other person in a boat and you were both rowing exactly the same direction. That boat would go really, 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 really quickly. If you've got one person rowing this way, one person rowing that way, the boat's not going to go anywhere. Okay? And it's been my observation with the mentoring that what tends to happen is 90% of the mentoring tends to revolve around, can you do it? Would you like to do it? Do you love to do it? What's holding you back from doing it? And all that stuff is very, very valuable. And I didn't want to fill that niche because it's already being filled. What I wanted to do was position uplines to actually do work, And remember this, guys. At the end of the day, if you own a Subway franchise, selling a sandwich is work. Everything else isn't work. And this is something when you're self-employed in NECAN, you've got to realize. The thing that makes your business work are new people coming on board or new people ordering products or people that are in the business doing the same. And the way it gets bigger is by people who are in and you bringing in new people. So the whole focus of the business should be, And our entire messaging should be, what is your strategy to acquire new people? And how are you helping them find new people? And this is a little bit of almost of a declaration statement tonight, a positioning of Niken to go in a direction that maybe some of us haven't been going in such a linear fashion. And without this sheet, it makes it hard. I've sat in on probably 50 mentoring calls over the past 2 years, and most of the discussion is about how do we feel and what would you like to do, and are you courageous enough to do the business? And all that stuff is incredibly valuable. There's no question that stuff is incredibly valuable. But the one thing that's missing is, what did you do? You know what I'm saying? I've sat on entire mentoring calls of 30 minutes to an hour when there's not one person saying, was it complete or incomplete? Did you sign people up? What's your plan to sign people up? And so what happens is you get off the call and you feel like you accomplished something, but maybe we didn't. Now, of course, you need both. You got to develop your mind. You got to develop your person. The way I wanted to go in and hit this thing a little bit harder was giving us a mechanism to develop a result. And I'll tell you something else, guys. When you're doing something that you've never done before, and I've said this a couple different ways, but I want to say it again. There's simply no way to develop proficiency without doing it. If you go out to golf, you got to shoot a whole lot of golf balls to get on the green. Okay? If you go shoot layups or free throws, you got to shoot a lot of free throws to get it done. And you're going to have to develop your stroke. You're going to have to learn how to do it. There's no way to go out and get on a golf course and just start smacking in putts. You got to miss a lot of putts to do it. So the bottom line when it comes to prospecting, you're never going to do enough calls or read enough books to where you become a good prospector. I would take somebody that doesn't know who they want to be or what they want to do, who talks to 30 people, over somebody that just talks about talking to people but never speaks to anybody. I really want you guys to think about that for a minute. I would take somebody to go out and shoot 30 shots before I'd have you read 30 books about shooting shots. Okay? So I don't want to beat the point to death, but it's been my observation that most people do a lot of lateral talk and not a lot of to the point talk. So I want you to think about for a minute what's going to happen to your group if you start having the conversation about what did you do or what are you going to do? How does it relate to points generation and duplication? What you're going to start to see here if you follow this model through, you're going to see a congruence between what you're doing in your mentoring, the results on the board, the silvers breaking, the qualifiers happening, the new people populating the board. It's kind of I'm of the opinion if you're talking about new people, you're probably going to get new people. If you're talking about yourself, you're probably going to find yourself on the next call. It really is. Our discussions in Niken should not be internal. They should be external. Okay. And a lot of the hesitancy we get about, can I do this and how should I do it and all those sorts of things, those discussions will fall away as you start doing it. At the end of the day, until you've done a thing, you never really develop proficiency. Okay. Proficiency is developed through doing the thing. And you can say, yeah, but Rick, I've never done this. And first I need to believe in myself and all that sort of stuff. You're absolutely right. And I'm not debating that for 1 minute. But I am telling all of you as uplines that we already have resources in place to develop the why and the who you want to become and what will you be as a result of building the business. I think that all of you uplines and downlines should start harnessing our power directly towards creating an engine that will create a replicable, duplicable Niken residual machine. And it's time that we focus the firepower of Niken straight down range and quit shooting in a circle. And that really is what it is. At the end of the day, when we mentor with our teams, the things that count are this, and I'm going to say this to you again. When you're self-employed or when you're in business for yourself, there's a rule that absolutely is an absolute. And here's the rule. It's not what you want to do that counts. It's not what you hope you do. It's not what you feel like doing. It's not what you could do if you only believed more. It's what you did that gets you paid. It's what you did. So I want you to think about this for a minute. What's going to get you farther? Focusing your team on what the job is and the result, or lateral stuff that never focuses the group. So here's the thing, okay? Go out and set up your calls. Let them be real swift, real efficient. Our teams, I'm going to be spending a lot of time with them. Like when I talk to our teams, I want to see who's developing on these lines. You know, how are your teach trees filling in? The other thing we're going to do, I'll pop this up, is you know, I want to get the events one loaded up. Okay, I don't know if I can pull it up or not, but there's one for the events too. Oh, it's freezing up right now. It figures. The events one's the other thing that I want to do. Oh, there, I can pull it up. I want to have the team basically laying out, you know, with the events, teach three to reach three, you know, who do you have launched in with the next big event, whether it be the local event, whether it be San Antonio, whatever, you know, how are you doing on this? You could do the same mentoring call. Okay, you've got a 5 block. You know, who do you have on your first level? Who do you have on your second level coming? And the other thing I'm going to tell you guys, with that event in the fall, if you don't have a 5 block right now, you need to get on there and get one so that you can take advantage of this event. If you're in somebody else's 5 block, you're part of somebody else's check. You need to get it out there and start filling your own and taking that step. I can't tell you guys enough again. You will never prepare enough for battle to be brave in combat. The only way to develop bravery or skills or competence is to get out on the firing range. You cannot avoid real life stuff. So here's the question I want to ask everybody on the call. Do you want to be free enough to go out and hit the fear barrier of talking to people and getting a 5 block, believing in yourself, running for silver? Do you want to change your life enough to where you're willing to go out and talk to people and maybe stink at it for a while so that you can earn your freedom? At the end of the day, guys, it really comes down to this. It's not the fear or whatever you believe or don't believe about yourself that's going to set you free. It's, do you want the thing enough to go out and attack this and overcome what you've got to overcome to get it? This is the thing. I typically find that people that want it but maybe don't want it that much, or more importantly, maybe they don't have to have it. Very few people I've ever come across in this business build this to build a dream. Most people build it running from a nightmare. You guys have all heard Dave's and Valerie's story about the floor and the vehicles. Dave, you guys were running from a nightmare with your family. You had to do something. It wasn't building the dream. It was running from a nightmare. Right?
Inspirational dissatisfaction. It
was. And for me, I was in a nightmare in my career. I hated it so much, I grabbed this and ran with it. Some of what I want to ask you guys is not, do you want to be something? Maybe that will come later. Maybe the mistake some of you guys are making, if you're making one, is maybe you haven't really realized that you better detest where you are if you want to go somewhere else. And maybe part of what you need to do is trying to figure out what's going to happen when you get there and just give yourself some options so you could be anything else at all. I was talking to a 50-year-old the other day who's sick and has been downsized 3 times. And I said, do you really want to be 60 and being downsized again with no money and being treated like garbage at work? Do you really want that? Have you really let it sink in yet that that's going to be your future if you don't build this? And looked at me and said, you know, that is really terrible. I said, yeah, but you're acting like it's 10 years from now. And in 10 years from now, it's going to be now. So I guess the real thing in this business, what you have to say is, okay, my life today, I know I ought to change it. But my question is, are you at the point yet when you have to change it? Do you detest where you are enough to get really, really active now? 80% of the people in NECAN that stay where they are and never grow, it's not because they're not good people. It's not because they got to overcome fear. It's not because, you know, all the straw dogs we put out there. Well, I don't believe in myself. That's really not what it is. It's you don't want it enough. And that's the truth. If you're falling out of an airplane and holding a parachute, you would overcome fear to put it on, whether you've ever done it before or not. My question to you is, do you want your life to change enough where you're willing to tackle it and go nose into it right now to knock yourself out of that current life to go to the life that you want to live? And that's really the thing that I find. We put up a lot of straw dogs, you know, reasons that are holding us back. Well, if I only had this, then I would be able to go out and build my business and all those sorts of things. And I want you to think about something right now. You have everything you need to build this. You have a team of people, you have help, you have infrastructure, you have tools. You got great products. You got a great company. All of us have it. But my question to you is, do you want to change your station enough? Do you have to change your station enough yet, or do you want to? Okay. Well, having said that, if you add that to the Teach 3, and if you guys as mentors out there keep your team focused, you're going to be working a direct result. When your team is focused and working a direct result, you're going to get faster duplication. You're going to get faster results, which means more people that maybe have weaker belief are going to see other people succeeding. It's going to be its own vortex. See, what's going to happen in Niken once we really start picking up steam is you're not going to have people wondering if they could do it because they're going to see 50 other people doing it. One of the reasons we tell stories about who made it, who's excited, who's doing what, is because we want to show other people that it can be done. Okay, my life is hard. I've got kids. I'm not happy in my job. I've never built a home business. But I was just on a call hearing 10 people say, I just got 2 more people on my front line and 1 on my third line. Do you guys realize that half of what happens on your mentoring calls isn't just keeping people in line, it's people sharing results? Okay, so if you do calls and you take away results in the direct sense, and I'm not just talking you do a call and say, well, who's got something exciting to share today? Well, I just got a new senior because I sold a bed. That's sporadic and random and not duplicable. I'm talking about a call when you've got 5 people on it and somebody says, I got 2 on my front, I got 3 on the second tier, and I'm in the red zone. I've nailed it. And you can say, well, tell me how you got the person on your first and on your second, and tell me what you did this month to hit your red zone. Well, I got 3 people on auto ship, I got 2 new customers, and I sold a waterfall. Do you guys realize that the actual methodology is its own call, is its own teaching point? Right? It's its own stuff inside of the call. You could do a limitless call just on asking people, how'd you hit the red zone? Get 5 people to give their results. As soon as somebody gets a new person on their front line, you ask them how they did it. It's not only a call, it's a duplicable call. It inspires people. It facilitates even more. A lot of the discussion about, well, is this something that I have a belief system enough to do? A lot of that falls by the wayside when it becomes culture. The more speed you put into your group, the less time you have to do fiddling about with all the rest of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, like I said at the beginning, doesn't matter how many sandwiches you intend to sell, doesn't matter who you'll be as a result of selling sandwiches, doesn't matter why you're afraid to sell sandwiches, doesn't matter if you're afraid to talk to customers. It matters if you sold a sandwich. That's called business. Okay? At the end of the day in your Niken business, here's what matters. Are you in the red zone or are you not? Do you have front lines or do you not? Do you have people at the third level or do you not? If you do, you're going to get a check. If you don't, we got work to do. And you can look at that all you want, but until you start talking to those 3 or 4 or 5 people a week, they don't stop populating on the thing. Okay? And I know this is I purposely did this call tonight as our first one on the new Power Call Network. I wanted to actually hit it tonight. And I wanted it to be a call that really unsettled some people. And I wanted it to be a call that really was a decisive call, not just the same stuff. I wanted to really make a statement tonight that I want people to get off this call tonight and say, you know what? It's time to start selling sandwiches. It's time to realize that the thing that makes this thing grow is I either did or I did not sell a sandwich. Not did I intend to sell one, and what will I be if I do sell one? But you did sell one. I learned that in the Army. I'm going to tell you guys this last little story, and this changed my life. And it really, really changed my life. I was a kid that my dad was a hardcore Vietnam veteran Marine and very, very, very cut and dried. We worked at our store together, and he'd tell me to go back to the back room and straighten out all the brackets for the counters, and they would be a big mess. And I would do a halfway job. He'd tell me to mow the yard, and I'd say the mower was broken. I would drive my dad nuts, and my mom would let me get over. And when I went in the Army, it was a real shock because I showed up at one of my first duty stations, and there was Sergeant First Class William Ockington Swift from Florida. And my first day in the unit, he said, Murph, go down to the motor pool. And we had five M923A2 5-tons, and we were supposed to PMCS them, which means check them, all this stuff. A proper PMCS takes about an hour. So he sends me down to the motor pool at 5 minutes to 4. The motor pool closes at 4, and I had to check the logbooks out. Now, if you guys have ever been in the Army, there's nothing that will make somebody more angry than checking out a logbook at 5 to 4 because the guys in the motor pool can't leave till all the logbooks are back. So I walk in there as a private. The guy yells at me, runs me upside down, one the other, about checking out the logbooks. So I go out and I stand there and I hear them say the motor pool's closing. So I went, turned the logbooks in. I went back to Sergeant Swift and he says, Murph, are the trucks done? I said, Sergeant Swift, the motor pool closed and I didn't have time to do it. And he goes, Murph, you got extra duty all weekend. And I was furious because there's no way I could get those trucks done. Well, and this was on a Friday. So all weekend I'm stuck in the barracks like an idiot. I was the runner for the NCO on duty. Next weekend, I think I'm going to be off. Dave, it's about 3:30, quarter to 4. Sergeant Swift says, Murph, go down and PMCS the trucks. I went down there again, checked out the logbooks. I did one. And I thought, man, I got one knocked out in 20 minutes. I'm going to go back. It got approved. I said, Sergeant Swift, I got one of them done, but I didn't have time. He says, Murph, extra duty all weekend. It's like, oh, man. And I was so unfair that there's no way I could do it. I had all the reasons I couldn't do it. I had valid excuses why I couldn't do it. So the next week, it's about 3:30, he sends me down there again. He says, Murph, go PMCS all the trucks. So I drive down there fuming. I check out the logbooks. I didn't even bother to fiddle with it because I knew I didn't have the time. I turned the logbooks in. I drove back to the barracks. And I walked in. He said, Murph, are they done? I said, no, Sergeant Swift, they're not done. He goes, great, Murph, you're off for the weekend. And I said to another sergeant who was a squad leader, I said, what was the deal? All he said was go away. He goes, Sergeant Swift didn't want to hear why you couldn't do it. He didn't want to hear it was impossible. He didn't want to hear 70 excuses. He wants to hear a thing is either done or not done. And it wasn't done. He didn't want to hear the reasons. And he told me later, when you're in combat, if I tell you to do something, it's either done or it's not done because lives depend on it. That was a thing that he was teaching me as an 18-year-old kid, that a thing is either done or not done. Now let's move forward into business. Every one of you has a job, and the thing is either done or not done, and that's how you're paid, that's how you're measured, that's how everything. In the world of the home business, we obfuscate it with all these different things around it, and programs and books and all these things. And at the end of the day, you either did 2,000 points and qualified or you didn't. And if you have that mentality in NECAN that a thing's either done or not done, it's going to clear your mind from all the rest of this psychobabble out there in the world of the home business industry. And it's going to start to focus you on the thing. And when you have that kind of clarity as a self-employed business people, that at the end of the day, I either talked to someone or I didn't, it's going to knock away 80% of the conversation that's going to take you down paths that will never pay your bills. If you're an upline in this business, your team's going to have to find their own path to who they want to be and why they want to build it, and should they build it and will they build it. But if as an upline, you're asking the question, hey, Murph, did you get in the red zone or not? Yes or no? If you didn't, what's your plan to get in it? That's Sergeant Swift talking to me. Did you hit it or did you not hit it? And if you didn't, what's the plan? Murph, do you have anybody on your front line? How many? Did they? Do you have a plan to get them if you don't, or do you not? Murph, is there anybody at your third level? And if you don't, what's your plan to get them? I want you guys to think about what will happen with your teams if all you do as an upline, gold or silver or platinum or diamond or royal diamond, if you just on your mentoring calls send the really simple message, who's in the red zone, who has a front line, who's duplicated, and what's your plan to do it? And then if you want to do the rest of the stuff, go ahead. But I want you to think about the ripple effect of a month or 6 months or 12 months. I want you to think about the thousands of people that are going to come pouring into your group when you keep the main thing, and all your barrels are pointed down range. And you realize that at the end of the day, if you kick it in the goal, you get a point in soccer. Doesn't matter how much you dance around midfield. I had to talk with Kurt about this a couple of times. He said that's the thing that consultants tend to sometimes not do, is instead of talking about what they did, they talk about what they would like to do. And that's all important stuff. And I certainly don't need to get involved in, the whys and all that stuff. That's up to you. But what I want to do as an upline is put some power in the mentoring process. So mentoring is a hard value, not a soft value. And one of the things I've observed with mentoring is far too often it's a soft value, not a hard value. And what I mean by that, it's esoteric stuff, which has a very, very important place in personal development. But when I worked at Steelcase, they didn't care if I was personally developed. They cared if I delivered a software system. When I was running a Senate campaign, they didn't care how I felt. They cared if we got votes. If you own a Jimmy John's franchise, they don't care what kind of tree you want to be. They want to know if you sold sandwiches at lunch. In Nikken, doesn't matter all the rest of that stuff. Did you have a point on the board? Because then the computer runs the commission and you get a paycheck. And I know this is a radical thought for some of you guys on this call. You've never heard anything like this on a Nikken call ever. And maybe that's exactly why we need to do it. Is to put some lightning in a bottle and unleash the people of Nikken. Hey, diddle, diddle, right up the middle. Start to execute, wham, right down the middle of the pipe. Okay? And then you're free to say, how many people did you talk to? How many front lines did you get in front of? What's your plan to go out and meet more people? Let's have our conversations in Nikken not be internal about how many calls we're going to have. Let's make them be external about who's going to be on the calls. Let's make the calls stop being, are you going to the event and how many people are you bringing to the event? The whole reason we did 5 blocks for San Antonio, I'm not interested in selling tickets to distributors. I'm interested in you guys making money. And that's what it's all about, you guys, is about at the end of the day is you're going to make money if you're bringing new people into San Antonio. So if you're sitting there right now and you don't have a 5 block personally, you've already told me you're not expecting to make money. Just be okay with it. And if you don't want to make money, then you don't want to change your life that much right now. You'd like to change your life. You don't have to change your life. And I'm going to tell you something right now. You're going to succeed when you're self-employed, when you have to change your life, not when you'd like to change your life. Guys, go ask anybody who's an alcoholic if they changed when they would like to stop drinking or when they had to stop drinking. Go ask anybody who's a guy, for crying out loud, whose wife was sick of them, if they changed when their wife said, I'm done with you, and they had to change, or if they still had an inch of rope to not have to change. Human beings are geared to not be at their best until they're in a have-to position most of the time. If you can rise higher on a mental level to be able to act before you have to, you've risen to an elevation that most people will never attain. Michael Jordan had to find reasons to be angry to achieve at the level that he did. Great athletes find motivations to get them, who spurn them, who beat them, who they want to. A lot of your great athletes don't love to win. They hate to lose. Whatever motivates you, find it to motivate you. But if you go back to work tomorrow and you can't stand it, or if you're tired of being broke, or if you're tired of being silver or gold or diamond, if you're tired of it, the answer to it is putting people in on those front lines. And then you say, well, how do I do that? You know what? That question is going to seem a whole lot less mysterious when you have to than if you just want to. A lot of the folks that struggle the most with what do I say to people are folks that are still dealing in the want to. I've never met anybody that had to that struggled with what to say. My wife and I are building this because we expect to have a good life. We believe in Nikken, and we're looking for partners to launch this in Austin. We're proud of what we do, and we have great products. I'm not reading a script. I don't have to prepare for that. It's easy to say because I mean it. When I look at someone and say the waterfall's great, I love it, I don't have to read a script to do it. I mean it. That's the difference between sales and network marketing. The closer you are to the genuine article where you're not signed up in Nikken, you are Nikken. It's the last thing I'm going to tell you before I zip my pie hole here. I'm not signed up in Nikken. All right? I am Nikken. Nikken is in California, and you're Nikken, and Dave and Valerie are Nikken, and Gary Linder's Nikken, and William Todd is Nikken, and Mike DiMuccio's Nikken, and Dennis Ruth Williams are Nikken. All of you, Brian, who just chatted, is Nikken. Okay? When I'm talking to a prospect, Nikken is not an entity that I'm selling, that I'm signed up in. Niken is me talking to the person across the table. Niken is only as good as you are when you're talking to the person across that table. Guys, when Niken's doing $25 billion in sales, there will be people on this call right now that still will not be succeeding. And there will be people that haven't met us yet that will make millions of dollars. The momentum in Niken has nothing to do with how fast you or I grow, because even at its peak, Niken's only as good to the person you're talking to as you across the table. Okay? Momentum is a really big misconception. I knew lots of people when Niken was in wave one that didn't take off with Niken, right? And I knew a lot of people when Niken was between waves, their business exploded because they're Niken. So there is no Niken out there other than the one you're showing to a prospect. So Niken is as fast or as slow as you choose it to be. In the city that you're in, Niken is as alive or not as you want it to be. If you say, well, we used to have a meeting here and we don't anymore, we're looking for people to re-get it going, that's about as exciting as a saltine. That just told your prospect everything about Niken, okay? You want Niken to explode? This city's going to rock. We're looking for people that want to rock with it. We're going to tear this thing up, and we're going to do billions of dollars. Niken right there is in momentum in your city, even if it's just you, okay? So that's what I wanted to let you guys know. Niken is in momentum tonight if you want to be in momentum. Niken is doing billions tonight if you're doing billions in your mind. Niken is focused and harnessed and moving forward if you're directly doing things that will yield an organization for you. And if we want to get really, 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 really good as a business, and if we want to get really, really good in Niken and move to the next level, we need to start as uplines laying out a game plan that yields a result. We owe to our teams. I don't owe my team their success. I owe my team a pathway to get it. And the pathway to build an income with Niken is get in the red zone and teach 3 to reach 3. I owe my team that. I don't owe to making them do it. I owe that person that I'm connecting the path. So as a mentor, my job is not to make them feel good. My job is not to help them discover, their favorite color. My job as a mentor is not to figure out who they were in a past life. My job as a mentor is to help them make an income in Niken. Guys, I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to help you understand how magnetics affect amoebas. I'm not a psychotherapist here to bring out your deep inner child. I'm a mentor. I am here to help you make a living in Niken. And I really think the term mentor in Niken, and I'm not talking the big mentor, the high level people that are really doing stuff. I'm talking the rubber hitting the road, mentor downline relationship in Niken needed to be defined something beyond how do you feel today. Okay? So what this is going to do is it's going to put some meat in the mentor relationship. A mentor's job in Niken is very simple: to help me help you navigate the compensation plan so that you can turn Niken into an income creating vehicle for you and your family. That is my job as a mentor. Okay? I'm not a philosopher. I'm not a therapist. Okay? Think about this for a minute. My job as an upline is to help my team navigate the compensation plan so that they can produce a usable living in Niken for them and their families and help them make a check. And yes, I said the word money. I'm going to say it again. Money, 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 money. Get used to it. If you got a problem with it, you need to look at this more than ever. Money is the thing that greases the wheels to make Niken move. Money is the thing that is measured when we get these products on people. Money is the thing that's going to drive this. We are not going to reach 100 million people if there's not lucrative incentives in this business to go out and change people's lives. That is the way the world of commerce works. Okay? That is the way the world works. That's business. Okay? So remember again, we put in the word mentor in Niken 2 years ago. I don't think we defined what a mentor is. Let me say it one last time. A mentor's job in Niken is to help their team navigate the compensation plan as efficiently and as effectively as possible with the least output in treasure, with the least wasted time to get the greatest result in both treasure and reclaimed time so that people can be more living the Niken balanced life. But without health and then without money, you cannot achieve the top of the balance chart. You don't get healthy mind. You got to have healthy finances. So part of being a mentor in this business is helping people achieve healthy finances. It is a sacred duty. It's a trusted duty. It's an important job to help people know how to make a living in Nikken. And it's got to move beyond, how do you feel today? Okay? And what this does is it takes that concept and makes it absolutely rock. It absolutely will put people running downhill. All right? I'm not a big guy on psychobabble. I'm just not. It doesn't suit me. Most of the things I've done in my life that I've achieved, I did it because I had to. I did it because I believed in it, and I did it because I saw a better life at the end of the tunnel for us. I wasn't good at a lot of things I started. I got good out of necessity, just like people that went across the Great Plains became great farmers on the prairie because they were hungry. All right? You want to be a great prospector? Be a little hungry. You know what I'm saying? You will never read enough about Nikken to be a great prospector. You got to get out there and do it. And that's what I wanted to share with you guys. I thought it was high time we define what a mentor is in Nikken. It's someone that helps their people make Nikken the promised income creating vehicle it's supposed to be. Okay? That's what it is. My job is to help you navigate the compensation plan. That's what it is. So when I'm talking to my team, I care about them enough to realize that I want to put a measurable result in their wallet so that they have the ability to measure to get a better life for themselves and their families. So that's what it's all about. So that's all I got to say about that. Dave, you want to throw anything in the till before we get going? I know that was a pretty, I know I took a big topic on that one.
Awesome stuff, Rick Murphy. And I would like to ask your opinion. There's an awesome concept, self-care, rather than leaving health to chance, where you can take an active role in that. I think that could intrigue quite a few people. And there's a presentation that's on the same bat time, same bat channel Wednesday with Dr. Gary is going to talk about how you can change your whole self with health. Would that be something worthwhile to invite a guest to?
Yes. And let me tell you something, guys. Gary's going to do that Wednesday night. I challenge every single one of you to have somebody on that call. Make this call tonight, not just me banging my chiclets together like a big bag of wind, like someone squeezing me like a bagpipe here. Okay? Make these words count. Go out in the next 48 hours and get somebody on that call that wants to hear this message. Watch what happens to you if you cross the gap to start connecting people into calls. And I'll tell you something else. Self-care is just like what I talked about tonight. Let me say this. This is really important. Just like tonight, it's not what kind of tree you want to be that's going to make you money. It's how many people you talk to. It doesn't matter what you intend to do. It's the water you're drinking, the air you're breathing, the food you're eating, and the choices you make that make you healthy. What I'm talking about here on the financial pillar is the exact same thing Dr. Gary, medicine man, or wellness man, Dr. Gary, self-care man, is going to talk about Wednesday night. It's all about it. Look, you know what it is? Self-care is about empowering yourself to be in charge of your family's own health. This mentoring program is about you empowering yourself to build yourself an income so that nobody else is making choices for you. Here's what they have in common. Self-care means the doctor's not going to make choices for you, or people are going to pull the plug on you and make that choice. The mentoring program, if you build this, the Nikken Financial Pillar, means the bank doesn't make your choices, or your boss doesn't make your choices, or somebody you don't like doesn't make your choices for you. What Nikken's really about on the self-care side and the financial side is making sure you're making choices for yourself. The best piece of advice I ever got was from Bill Bennett. He was the education secretary under Ronald Reagan. And in '96, when I was running that Senate campaign, I spent an afternoon with him in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He was campaigning at the time for Bob Dole and Jack Kemp. And I was riding around in a car with him. And he said, you know what, Rick? One thing I'll tell you, because at the time I was 26, he goes, make choices today while you have the ball, or in 5 years, somebody that doesn't like you and doesn't care about you will be making choices for you. What Nikken does, it gives you the ability to make choices for yourself so that in 5 years, somebody else isn't making choices for you. And that's what it's really all about. So Dr. Gary Wednesday Self-Care is at is it at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, Dave, or is it at 7? Pardon me for being dopey.
I believe it's 6:30 p.m. Pacific, and then Dr. Ash is 8 o'clock a.m. Pacific Saturday. And you could get quite a thing going. Like if they come to the meeting with Gary and get excited about the possibilities, you can tell them about they can get all their questions answered by getting on the call with Dr. Ash, who did her inaugural call Saturday. It was very well received. You got a lot of people chomping on the bit to see that posted on YouTube, and we're working on that. And oh my goodness! And then they get excited with Dr. Ash, and then we can tell them to come back and listen to Rick talk about. All you got to do is share. This is something I love about Nikan. Harness is something that we're already basically made out of. The idea that when we find something wonderful that we believe in, it's just a natural thing to share it with the people that we love. We've already done Nikan. Typically, as far as the mechanics, we share things that we believe in, and so strategically doing that by teaching 3, and then teaching other people how to do that by teaching them to get 3. You can see how if you actually put some effort and some time and consistently, and again had more reasons than doubts and fears, because we all have those. It is scary.
Yep.
Nobody likes to have somebody say no, but then you realize that. Wow, is it going to really damage you if you have somebody say no to you? I look at all the other businesses where you can really have a downside, where you have a lot of financial risk exposed, other things like that. You can get hurt really bad in a regular business. The worst thing will happen to you in Nikan is somebody will say no. And I think, wow. So it's all upside, no downside.
Yep.
And then consistently just mastering the fundamental skills of inviting people to take a look, demonstrate the product with them, plug them into these calls, get them coming to the events. Oh my goodness. Imagine if you had a dozen or so people all that were buying into this vision and having fun with this. And then they came to San Antonio, and you could, I believe, within a month or so, you could be making a couple of $100 or more a month.
Yep.
Within a year, you could be making 1,000 or more a month. I believe anyone with a reasonable personality and consistency, and being plugged in with good mentors and coaches, and consistently bringing this into your daily routine, where this is your daily method of operation, sharing the story, teaching others, that and anybody with this timing, where this is a growth industry. Health is big for the next 15, 20 years, with the baby boomers getting bigger, moving into the getting old, and none of us want to. And it's been observed, any one of you, wherever you live, I'll bet downtown, your hospital has got a crane there, and they're adding on another weight.
They do. You know what's funny? We just drove through downtown Austin. All the cranes were on hospitals. Yeah,
dialysis centers, all of this stuff. The sick industry is exploding. Well, the wellness industry is also exploding. Because, wow, what a choice! Healthy choice. Being healthy by following such logical stuff, drinking better water, sleeping better, nutrition. We really are in a position to move Nikan into a multi-billion-dollar business. And when you talk about dollars, I love Rabbi Lapin, where he talks about the money is simply a certificate of service rendered. And so when you look at the Nikan business, you could arguably say that there is a moral obligation to become wealthy in this, because we need to serve. We need to get the word out on this. This is an important time to, and I would just like to say this is worthy of your all.
Yep.
There's nothing richer and funner than being with a good team of people, folks that you'd love to be friends with anyway, united in a cause, doing something that really you couldn't do without having other people with you. And we can really change the world. And I'm just kind of thinking in my mind, probably like all of us are thinking, I wonder who's going to win the election this fall. Regardless, the most important thing for our future is your individual choices, and having a vehicle like Nikan. So don't count on the government to take care of you, certainly with your health or your finances. they don't do any of those very well.
Hey, Dave, you ever notice? Have you ever noticed when you jump into really cold water, no matter how much you look at it, it never gets warm. Then once you get in, you can't get out, and the outside feels cold.
Yeah.
And that's how it is with this business. You guys just jump in and get after it.
And jump on in. The water is actually pretty fine. It's really nice.
It is, and it's swimsuit optional, so you can just hop in. You can come as you are. We love you. This is a blast. I really want to just let you guys know tonight. Look outward in your business. We think so much about ourselves. What we should be thinking is about the people that aren't in NECAN yet. And you'll find when you're thinking about them, you won't have to wonder. Look, I'm a big fat mess, and Dave said you don't need a moderate personality to build this. I'm about as appealing as a kipper snack, and I can get this thing built. And it's just, it really is. I'm like a tin of kipper snacks, man. You open me up, and there's Rick Murphy sitting there in the kipper snack mobile. But
one other thing, Rick, I just got to tell you, looking at your worksheet here, because it's not just something to look at, it's a worksheet.
Yes.
So go down to Rick's website and print it and fill that out. You fill it up with names. There they are right there, and have at it. And we could probably go on for a few more hours, but I'll tell you.
It's on the tools page, Dave. It's on the tools page. And if you want, I'll send it up to you. If you want to stick these on magnetic leaders, I'll fire them over to you. They're on there right now, the PDFs, but I'll send them over to you if you want.
Sure.
What would happen if we had 5,000 people asking their team, are you in the red zone? Who do you have on your front line and who's on your second line? And what's your plan to do it? Think what would happen if we actually engaged our horsepower in a straightforward direction.
Yeah. Well, three, then 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 9 is 27. 3 times 27 is more. 3 times that is even more. It is an astronomical business. So
it ain't all bad, man. Hey, listen, I appreciate you, Dave. You're awesome. And Wednesday night, tune in. Let me tell you, I'm not going to see Star Wars this fall. I'm just going to record Dr. Gary Linder Wednesday night. And when the whole family comes for Christmas, I'm going to put that on the 52-inch plasma screen. So this is going to be so entertaining. You will not need to see Star Wars Rogue Warrior. Wednesday night will be all the entertainment your family will ever need again. That's how good Wednesday night's going to be, Dave. I can't wait. I'm gonna log in at like 2 p.m. It's gonna be so good. So you're waiting, all right?
And everyone invite somebody.
That's right.
There's a challenge. Take care.
All right, man. Well, love you guys. God bless you, Dave. I'll give you a call tomorrow too, Dave. Okay.
Take care, everyone.